What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY in the overall markets. I'm going to talk about something very important that Cash Card from the Fed just said, not to mention the economic calendar moving forward and Tesla news. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY on invested cash. This offer ends very soon in just 7 days, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, now let's talk about Tesla. So right now the market's holding up very well in the pre-market, and this is a good sign for how we're about to open. So there could be an attempt to push up higher as we've held some key support. Now, the thing about this is the reason why the market's trying to push is because of many different reasons. The first off would be a reaction for what we saw on Friday, as we saw a lot of buyers continuing to hold the market up. And secondly, we have this catalyst right over here. We had Cash Kari from the Fed giving a speech, and he mentioned that he's basically in favor of the Fed cutting rates again. He said that he favored the Fed's move and that he favors another 50 basis point cut before the year ends up closing. So that's very important. He has a very, very important view, and this is more positive for the markets. Now, for today, it is Monday, September 23rd, 2024. Please know that 15 minutes after the market ends up opening at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the S&P Global Composite Manufacturing and Services PMI reports coming out. These reports could cause some volatility, so watch for that when the market, after market open at 9:45 a.m. And we'll see what this leads to. This might cause a big move in the market, so just be careful. We'll see if this causes the market to dump or pump even higher, so be very mindful of that. On top of this, the fear and greed index is currently at greed. It's making up the majority of sentiment. Momentum is also at greed, not to mention the fact that our puts and call option ratio is on a bit of a downtrend right now. It's kind of neutral. This could shift depending on how things end up going. As far as Tesla goes, I didn't see too much news coming up, but there is some talk about their deliveries and also the robotaxi events. So there's been some talk about how Elon Musk added that he would be shocked if the first unsupervised rides wouldn't take place at the end of next year. And he mentioned the fact that they're making important changes that would help improve the vehicle. This is for their next report that's coming out. Now, on top of this, on October 10th, we have the robotaxi event. That's very important. And we saw some analysts from Goldman Sachs who came out, and they're basically talking about how they have a neutral rating on Tesla in their opinion about this. And they think that whether or not we make a bigger move will depend on the robotaxi event. They also mentioned the fact that whether the commercial operations of the robotaxis comes out or not is still kind of unclear, and we're going to find out more information about that depending on the event. So, although their targets are not that strong for Tesla, they did mention a very important point, that is the fact that the robotaxi event will be critical, and I agree with that point right over there. The last thing I want to mention is that as far as things are going for the market right now, the market is still holding up well after the Fed ended up cutting rates, and so far the rally remains. There's been a lot of talk about tensions going on all over the world and other factors like that. So that is still something that's going on in the Middle East. I just wanted to call that out. But so far, the market is not really responding too negatively. We're actually holding up well despite that negative news. So with that being said, what do I see for Tesla? If we lose 240, we're looking for 238 as support, followed by 235. If we break past this resistance, we're looking for 244 as our resistance up here. If this breaks, we're looking for the gap fill at 246, followed by the 250 zone if that ends up breaking. So we're doing a good job at holding up. In my opinion, I think we continue to push it for 244, if not higher. We could even try to go for that 246 target, but the issue is I don't know if this will last. This will depend on our PMI reports today at 9:45 a.m. So we'll see if that helps Tesla push higher or not. So look for a big reaction at that time. But as of right now, Tesla's trying to push, and we do look a bit more bullish. For SPY, we're holding up very nicely. We're trying to hold this yellow trend line right here. I drew this out. This is our main support. So as long as we hold this, we're going to be looking for this gap fill for at least 570 for today. And if we end up losing 568, we're looking for a dip back down to the 565 area. So because we're holding up so nicely, I think this does favor this gap fill. As long as we hold above 568, we favor that. And this chart looks a little bit more bullish to me, as it's going to make an attempt to push up higher. Whether or not this attempt may last could also depend on the data that's coming out, so be very open-minded for that. But as of right now, the chart remains bullish so long as we don't lose 568. For ES, we're holding our 20 EMA very nice. We did get another test of this, only to hold up. Looking at 5780 as resistance. With this breaks, we're looking for 5800. If we lose 5747, we could be dipping back down. So far, this favors upside for the 5780 area, if not higher. And overall, we're doing a good job, so it favors the upwards direction. For Nvidia, we basically are just kind of consolidating right here. I do want to say that I'm concerned about this gap down here. I think we could be dipping to like the 115s, and we'll see if that holds. If it doesn't hold, we could come down to fill the gap at 114. Then we could bounce back up after that. We still look kind of lackluster, very choppy on Nvidia. So look for a test and a lot of shuffling in the 115s. Then we could dip and try to bounce after that. Bitcoin got a nice little pump and dump like move. We could be dipping down towards 63,000. If we hit this, we could try to bounce. So we'll see how things end up going. If this loses support here, we could be dipping all the way down towards 62,500. So we'll see how things end up going with this bearish divergence. We might see a little bit of a dip on Bitcoin, but watch and see the 63,000 area to see if we bounce off that or not. For NQ, we're holding our 20 EMA very nicely. We have 20,000 as resistance, 20,200 is resistance, and then 20,000 is our support. I think that there's a good chance we try to push higher and we try to retest this high at 20,200. If we break this on NQ, we're looking for a breakout for 20,400. So it looks more bullish overall as long as we don't lose the 19,950 area and also 19,800, that range right there. As long as this does not break, we remain more bullish. And so far, we're holding up quite well. The QQQ is looking more bullish. We held support at our 20 EMA. Even during the pre-market, we got this little dip on tech before it tried to rebound. As long as we hold above that, we are favoring a retest of 485. If we lose 480, we turn back down, but this is not favoring that. It favors that it wants to push even higher. Apple's doing a decent job, but I just wanted to say that our target was made at 227. I was calling that out. It could dip a little bit more, but it's still holding up well. If we don't hold 227, we're looking for 225, but it should bounce off one of those two levels. So look for a little bit of a dip on Apple and see if we could try to hold 227 to bounce. If not, we could dip a little bit lower before the bounce ends up coming. For a few more, we have like the IWM. Looks kind of lackluster right here. We could be looking for a lot of shuffling between 220 and 222 for the time being. But then as long as we hold 220, we could try to rebound. So we'll see if that holds. But look for a little bit of a dip and lots of shuffling for now. For Amazon, we look more bullish. As long as we try to break past 192, we're looking for that target for the gap fill at 193. If not above that, towards that 194 area. But overall, we're doing a good job, so we'll see how things end up going. As far as coin goes, we basically look a little bit more bullish as we have a nice wedge that's forming. So if we break through this, we could continue to pump. I think it might dip a little bit to fill this gap with Bitcoin. Might dip a bit towards 167 to 169, then try to bounce after that as the structure is more bullish. Look for a dip and a bounce on Bitcoin. It could dip to 167 to 169. For Meta, I'm just going to go over a few more. We look more bullish. We actually managed to break past 560. I was thinking it would be a little bit lackluster, but we actually broke through that. So it's continuing to remain bullish. Looking at 570 as a target, followed by 575. Overall, it's doing a great job at holding up, outperforming the market, and remaining very strong. It actually broke through a tough resistance very easily. So a very, very nice move by Meta. So we'll see how it develops from here, but overall, it's doing a great job at holding up. But just know the higher this thing goes, the harder it's going to be for this to really continue. So just want to give you guys a heads up about that. For Microsoft, we are dipping as we predicted. We'll have to see if we can try to hold above 434. If not, we could be dipping back down towards 430, and we'll see if we bounce off that or not. We'll look for a little bit more downside potential before anything else. For Google is looking more bullish, trying to break past 165. If that breaks, we're looking for basically 166. And if that breaks, we're looking for 168. So we still look more bullish, in my personal opinion. As long as we hold above 165, we got this nice breakout. So nice move by Google as we look more bullish. As far as Tesla goes, we still look more bullish. We're going to be looking for that 244 then 246 targets. But just be careful once we reach those targets and then know that there might be some volatility coming at 9:45 a.m. We'll see if the data launches the market higher or not. So get ready for that move. With that being said, I appreciate you guys so much for listening. Please have a spectacular rest of the day, and I'll see you guys soon on the next one. Thank you for listening, and peace out.